Alright, so by request we're going to adjust the ADS a little bit to have a scatter and reduce the amount of sway. Reduce both those, the scatter and the sway. Um, so what I'm going to do here real quick is make a nice little CSG box there that will be our target. Wow, that really placed it really low. Alright. So, yep, that looks good. Let's give it a different material too. Let's make it orange. Alright. So right now when we aim down our sights we have this really big sway back and forth. And our accuracy really doesn't improve. The gun's accuracy doesn't improve. I personally don't mind the gun accuracy not improving, but the sway does kind of bother me. But it's all personal preference, really. As you can also probably see, this also has the HUD tutorial in it, and I did scale down the HUD icons a little bit because they were way too big. But I just did that in Paint, just basically resize, and then just maintain aspect ratio, change this down to 400, bang, done. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to actually change the way ADS mode works slightly. After looking into this and how I was going to do this, the best way, I think, the way I like the best, let's put it that way, because it's not necessarily the best way, because you might have a different way you want to do it. Right now the ADS mode's completely done in the player script. We added it right at the top of Update World. Right here. When you hit the space key in your cell. Oh no, that's respawning, sorry. Right here. Let's get this out. So whenever you click your right mouse button, it'll switch back and forth down later in the script, but it's all done like right here. But your weapon sway and your weapon scatter is all done in here. So you have like sway speed, amplitude, max sway, and then down here, where is it? Scatter. Alright, so what we're going to do is, so both these scripts can mess with these values and not have to worry about trying to do a whole bunch of hierarchy stuff, making parents and all that. What we're going to actually do is we're going to change the ADS mode variable, which is right here, this ADS mode equals false. We're going to change that to a global variable instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to cut it from this script. And I'm going to take out this .script because we don't need that anymore. And then we're going to go to the very top scripts folder. And I'm going to uncheck reclusive so that I can just see those. Okay. So in this very top, you have app.lua, and I talked about this a little bit in some of the other videos. But this time we're actually going to make a global ADS mode equals false at the start. That's all we need to do in app.lua. And that now has made a global ADS mode variable. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to change every time it says self.ADS mode, we want it to just say ADS mode. We don't want the .selfs anymore. So we're going to find next, and right here it's going to start right off the bat with the set FOV at the very top of Update World, and we're just going to hit replace. So if we look now, it just says ADS mode. Replace, 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 replace. And I don't like hitting replace all because I guess in this circumstance you could. I've gotten in trouble replacing all. So then after we think we've got them all, just hit find next, and this should come up. It didn't find self.ads mode anywhere. Alright, so that's all we're going to do in the player. We're going to save those changes. We can close that. So now our ADS mode should still work the way it originally did, and it is. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to add the extra stuff. We're going to start with scatter. I'm just going to copy this scatter. We're going to add in 2 more lines of script. So it's going to be script dot scatter nor, and I'm going to make that nil, and script dot scatter ADS. And if you haven't figured out yet, we're actually going to do it exactly the same way that we did the current weapon, or the offset. So I want to give it, I'm going to make the sway about half. This is all personal preference. And I'm going to actually make it a float so that it can be changed based on the weapon. So it's a, I'm going to make it actually an integer because I only want numbers in there, or else it could possibly mess stuff up. Let's put a space there. Okay, that looks nice. So now if we go into our gun, to bring up the gun script down here, what you need to do is go into your prefabs, weapons, and just drag the auto pistol out here. So what it's going to do is, and once again I put it way down there, I'm just going to bring it up. And see how it's actually got the auto pistol like arms and hands model there. So you're going to obviously not want to leave this in for final, but right here's our auto pistol. If it comes up open, don't worry about that. That's all like the subparts, like the muzzle and the hammer, each individual piece of the auto pistol. We just want to see the overall. And we haven't saved that script yet, it doesn't look like. Nope, didn't save it. There we go, saved. And now we have the scatter ADS. Yeah. So, the next thing we're going to do is we want to do the same thing we did with offset here, but we're going to use scatter instead of offset. So I'm just going to copy that line and paste it back in, and then we're going to change this offset to scatter, and this to scatter. Alright, so scatter nor, scatter offset, or scatter offset, scatter nor and scatter ADS are now set. And we're going to come down here, hit Control F, and we're going to just look for scatter. And I like also clearing out this replace. I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference, but right there, scatter. So what I'm going to do is come to the top of this function, and I'm going to put in the same thing we did in the player. So if ADS mode equals false, then self dot scatter equals self dot scatter nor, and then end that, and then if ADS mode equals true, then self dot scatter equals self dot scatter ADS, and end that statement. So now what it'll do is set the scatter to whichever one you're selected into, And then when it calls scatter back down here, it'll be either the normal or ADS depending on which mode you're in. So that takes care of scatter. Alright, for sway. Sway is very different. If we mess with these and try to do the NOR and ADS like we have been, down here is where it actually does the animate the weapon. If we actually start playing with, like, see the sway speed, it's got this math function, so it's going to overwrite it if we try to do that. And the amplitude's the same, or amplitude is the same. And then if we try to do like sway speed, which is already going to be overwritten, max amplitude we could do, but it's a big long math function. So instead, what I would like to do is we're going to actually take sway right here, and we're going to do some math to sway and bob. Alright, so right here, we're doing the sway math, and then the bob math is done. Where is it? I thought it was right next to it. Oh yeah, it's right here. Bob. Sway and bob. And we're going to do a little bit more math to them in ADS mode. The reason I found these is actually, honestly, I just searched for sway because I knew it was gun sway. And I actually came down here to this one where it's setting the position of the gun, and I commented it out, and all the sway stopped, but then I was getting some errors and played around with it, and then looked, well, sway, where is that made? That's made right here. Okay, so I commented this out, and it took out the lateral movement of the gun, but it was still bobbing up and down. And I was like, oh, okay, so this must be an X value, and this is a Y. Oh, look, bob and bob jump. Well, bob jump's done up here with this land offset and stuff. Okay, so when you jump and you land, I still want the gun to bob up and down, so I'm not going to mess with that. But look, right here we got this bob 0. We've got this bob math function. Okay, so that's what's really determining most of the up-down movement. Alright, so this is where we're going to be doing it, right? Bob, sway and bob. But first we need to make a variable up here. You can decide where to put this. ADS offset, the scatter, the rate of fire. I'm just going to put it right at the bottom, because this really isn't, I don't see a good place to split it up. You could do it right before all these sounds and stuff. Yeah, that might actually be better. Let's just put it there. And we're going to call this script.ads factor. And we're going to default that to 4. But I do want to make that an integer, because not all guns might have the same ADS factor. A good example would be like a shotgun. Like, really, how much does your breathing and the little bit of moving you do affect the pattern of a shotgun spray versus a sniper rifle? I mean, just if you're shooting like trained sniper, your heartbeat throws off the round. So I want that to be a factor that's set by gun. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm just going to call this the ADS sway factor. And we're going to do some very simple math with that at the bottom down here. So right after we calculate the sway, which is right here, we're going to add in if ADS mode equals true. Actually, that should be 2 equal signs. True, and I probably did that wrong earlier. Well, I'll double check it. And I also forgot the then. Okay, so if the ADS mode is true, then sway equals sway divided by self.ads factor. I think that's the way I wrote it. I'll just copy it out. ADS factor. Copied. all the way down, ADS factor, paste. So what we're going to do, and then hit end the if statement. So what happens is if I'm not in ADS mode, the gun will sway normally. But if I am in ADS mode, it's going to take that sway and divide it by my factor. And I've already set that factor to 4 for the default. So it's going to be a quarter of the sway it would normally have been outside of ADS mode. And then we're going to do the same thing with Bob. After all its math is done, if ADS... Oh, spelled if wrong. If... How do you spell a 2-letter word wrong? Equals true, then Bob equals Bob divided by self dot ad. Well, I got that copied. And then end. And that should be all the bob and sway. So let's check this out. Alright. And there's almost no. There's still a little bit, but I want that. When I took them out all together, it's just rock solid in the middle of the screen and not moving at all. And honestly, when you're sighting down a gun, especially a pistol, it's going to sway back and forth a little bit. There's nothing you can do about it. Just because you don't have the stabilization that you would if you like hard mounted the gun into a like shooting block. But you can like make this number really big too. Like temporarily we'll set this to 10. And we've been messing with this auto pistol, which is now not a so it's now not a prefab. So what we have to do is save that as a prefab, and I'm just going to call it AP test because we don't want to mess with the actual auto pistol settings. I like 4 for the actual auto pistol. But I do want to mess around with this, and I want to show you some other stuff. So I'm going to call it AP test. But when you do that, make sure you come back to your player, clear his gun, and then actually give him AP test instead. Because if you leave that auto pistol, nothing that you're changing in these blocks will be effective. So like if you make it 10, it's pretty close to rock solid. There's a little movement there. So that's the way I like to do the sway and the sway factors. Let's also check out this. We'll do a real quick test on our scatter script that we did earlier. Let me make sure that it's done correctly. Okay, so it's swapping the scatters right here, and I did double there. Alright, so now the way we're going to test these scatters is I'm going to take and I'm going to say the ADS scatter is 0.01, which is pretty much a laser beam. Oh, dirt. I know what I did. I made that an integer, because I only wanted numbers in there, but the integer can only carry whole numbers. So let's just change this back to a float. And we'll hope our players or our designers are smart enough not to put characters in that block. Alright, so let's change our ADS scatter to, let's make it 0.005 for now. But let's make our normal scatter like 2, which is huge. So we're definitely going to be able to see a difference when we aim down the sight with that. Save that up and we'll run this. Alright, so when we're not aiming down the sight, okay, that should spread more than that. We'll double check that. And then it's pretty tight through. Let's see. Let's crank this up a little bit more and double check our script. So, ADS scatter. If it's false, the scatter is scatter nor. If it's true, the scatter is scatter ADS. Okay. It looks like it should work. Still really accurate. Something isn't right here. What isn't right? Multiplied by scatter. Okay, I'm going to break out the cheat sheet. This time I did the cheat sheet a little different. I have an ADS testing field that I did this in. Scripts, objects, weapons, gun. Alright. Scatter. Ah, I did it down here in the spawn bullet. Maybe that'll make a difference. Let's just cut this out. And then we'll put it right down here under spawn bullet, I think is where it was. Under local N. And then let's just grab all these lines and tab them back in so they look right. Alright. Alright. Oh, I'm a retard. That was fine where it was before. I know it's wrong. Because I've been making these changes in here, but I never did this. You gotta save it as the prefab, or else it never changes it in the player. It only changes this one entity. And I even told you how to do that. Oh, did you see how that bullet went like way over to the left? Yeah, we have like no accuracy. But as soon as we aim down the sights, we're back to pinpoint accuracy. So our scatter is now working properly. If you have any questions, let me know.